Mantras of our Lord Sri Aurobindo. Our Lord Sri Aurobindo says, do not allow yourself to be troubled or discouraged by any difficulties, but quietly and simply open yourself to the Divine Mother's force and allow it to change you. With always a love and blessings, says our Lord Sri Aurobindo. Sri Aurobindo Savitri, Book 2, Canto 2, The Kingdom of Subtle Matter. Life in its boundaries lingered, satisfied. The beautiful body of a soul at ease, like one who laughs in sweet and sunlit grooves. Childlike, she swung in her gold cradle of joy. Words of our Divine Mother. To Thee, who has been the material envelope of our Master, to Thee our infinite gratitude. Before Thee, who has done so much for us, who has worked, struggled, suffered, hoped, endured so much, before Thee who has willed all, attempted all, prepared, achieved all for us, before Thee we bow down and implore that we may never forget, even for a moment, all we owe to Thee. Words of our Lord Sri Aurobindo and our Divine Mother, taken from the collective works of our Lord and our Divine Mother, Book Sri Aurobindo Ashram, Topic Darshan, Year 1927 to 1915. Our Divine Mother says, in 1926, Sri Aurobindo had given me charge of the outer work because he wanted to withdraw into concentration in order to hasten the manifestation of the supramental consciousness, and he had announced to few people who were there that he was entrusting to me the work of helping and guiding them, that I would remain in contact with him naturally and that through me he would do the work, states our Divine Mother. After 1926, disciples and devotees were able to have Sri Aurobindo's Darshan on select occasions referred to as Darshan days. At first, there were 3 Darshan days: the Divine Mother's birthday, Sri Aurobindo's birthday, and Siddhi Dev. In 1939, a fourth Darshan Day was started, and that was our Divine Mother's final arrival at Pondicherry. After 1950, the Mother continued to give darshan on these days. From 1963 onwards, the Divine Mother gave darshan from the terrace as she gazed upon those who had gathered in the street below. Balcony darshan. Question, sweet mother. What do you give us in the morning at the balcony, and what should we try to do in order to receive what you're giving? For this, our Divine Mother says, every morning at the balcony, after establishing a conscious contact with each of those who are present, I identify myself with the Supreme Lord and dissolve myself completely in Him. Then my body, completely passive, is nothing but a channel through which the Lord passes His forces freely and pours all His light, His consciousness, and His joy according to each one's receptivity. The best way to receive what He gives is to come to the balcony with trust and aspiration, and to keep oneself as calm and quiet as one can in a silent and passive state of expectation. If one has something precise to ask, it is better to ask it beforehand, not while I'm there, because any activity lessens the receptivity, says our Divine Mother. Next topic, significance of darshan. Our Divine Mother says, in the days when Sri Aurobindo used to give darshan, before he gave it, there was always a concentration of certain forces or of a certain realization which he wanted to give to people. And so each darshan marked a stage forward. Each time something was added. But that was a time when the number of visitors were very limited. It was organized in another way, and it was part of the necessary preparation. But this special concentration now occurs at other times, not particularly on darshan days, and it occurs much more often on other kinds of occasions in other circumstances. Our Divine Mother says the moment is much accelerated, the march forward, the stages succeed each other much more rapidly, and perhaps it is more difficult to follow, or in any case, if one does not take care to keep up, one is much more quickly outdistanced than before. One gets the feeling of being late or being abandoned. Things change quickly. And I ought to say, says our Divine Mother, and I ought to say that these darshan times, with all this rush of people, serve not so much for an inner progress, that is to say, inside the ashram, as for a diffusion outside. The use we make of these days is a little different. Above all, it is to go farther, have a vaster field, reach more distant points. But the concentration is less, and there is this inconvenience of a large crowd, which was always there but which has been much greater during these last years than at the beginning. At the beginning, there was not such a crowd, and perhaps the quality of the crowd was also a little different, says our Divine Mother. Question, sweet Mother, what is the significance of the messages that you give every darshan? For this, our Divine Mother says, yes, as I've just told you, this is spread in thousands of copies all over the world. It is an externalization of the thing. It is a way of spreading the influence, spreading the message, reaching farther. Everything that is said in a darshan message has been studied, proved, tested beforehand. And on darshan day it is given. First the experiment is made, then it is declared publicly. The first moment is the individual deployment. At the darshan time, it is spread abroad. Our Divine Mother says, Sri Aurobindo always spoke of two moments. The formation of the individual in order to be able to reach the goal individually, and the preparation of the world. For the progress of the individual is to, so as to say, not exactly delayed or helped by the conditions of the whole, but this brings about a certain balance between the two. The individual moment is always much more rapid and more penetrating. It goes farther, more deeply, and more quickly. The collective moment forms a sort of basis which both restrains and supports at the same time. And it is the balance between these two moments which is necessary. So, the more rapidly one goes individually, the more necessary it is to try to extend and strengthen the collective basis, says our Divine Mother. Next subtopic, beginning of a Gnostic community. Our Divine Mother says it will soon be a year since one Wednesday we had the manifestation of the supramental force. Since then, it has been working very actively, even while very few people are aware of it. But still, I thought the time had come for us to help it a little in its work by making an effort of receptivity. Of course, it does not work only in the ashram. It is working in the whole world and in all places where there is some receptivity. This force is at work, and I must say the ashram hasn't an exclusive receptivity in the world, the monopoly of the receptivity. Our Divine Mother says, for a long time the ashram was only a gathering of individuals, each one representing something. But as an individual and without any collective organization, they were like separate pawns on a chessboard. united only in appearance, or rather by purely superficial fact of living together in the same place and having a few habits in common. Not even very many, only a few. Each one progressed or did not progress according to his own capacity and with a minimum of relation with others. So, in accordance with the value of the individuals constituting this odd assemblage, one could say that there was a general value, but a very nebulous one with no collective reality. This lasted a very long time, very long, and it is only quite recently that the need for a collective reality began to appear, which is not necessarily limited to the ashram but embraces all who have declared themselves, I don't mean materially, but in their consciousness to be disciples of Sri Aurobindo and have tried to live his teaching. Among many of them, and more strongly since the manifestation of the supramental consciousness and force, they has awakened the necessity for a true communal life which would not be based only on purely material circumstances but would represent a deeper truth and be the beginning of what Sri Aurobindo calls a supramental or a Gnostic community. August 15, 1872. Sri Aurobindo's birthday, birth of Sri Aurobindo at Calcutta. Question, sweet mother. You spoke of Sri Aurobindo's birth as eternal in the history of the universe. What exactly was meant by eternal? For this, our Divine Mother says, the sentence can be understood in four different ways on four ascending planes of consciousness. First, physically, the consequence of the birth will be of eternal importance to the world. Second, mentally, it is a birth that will be eternally remembered in the universal history. Third, psychically, a birth that recurs forever from age to age upon earth. Fourth, spiritually, the birth of the eternal upon earth, says our Divine Mother. Our Divine Mother says, there is the manifestation of the truth. To be in front of his room is to perceive the absolute consciousness. He who knows how to open himself, truly open himself wide and spontaneously, will find his invariable help for everything. It is unbelievable. It is invincible and all powerful. Do not pretend. In front of him, one has to be straightforward, scrupulously frank and sincere, and one has to simply open oneself to be able to feel his beatitude. Our Divine Mother says, it is extraordinary, the power of his reality. No one could stand and no one could bear it if he reveals himself in his entirety. That is why I was warning you in advance. Never pretend or make a semblance that you are one of those who have the permission to stand before his room. It vibrates with his presence. Be happy and make of your life a consecration for accomplishing his work here below. It is an exceptional opportunity. Be worthy of it and do not waste time. What a marvel! What a power! What a grandeur! The one who was with us, his power, his force still vibrates in his room. It is a place for meditation and for receiving the vibration of the truth which it emits. It is charged. The presence of Sri Aurobindo is palpably felt by one who is sincere, says our Divine Mother. The divine gives itself to those who give themselves without reserve and in all parts of the divine. For them, the calm, the light, the power, the bliss, the freedom, the whiteness, the heights of knowledge, the seas of Ananda.
प्रसीद त्वां